Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome into the room. Welcome into the room.
In
This
the room.
is Candid Conversations, Season 2, Episode 2. I'm your host, Shakira. We are joined with our special guest, Shonika Sky Stovall, the queen of all trades. Candid Conversations is a safe space for like minded individuals to come together and gain tools, resources, connections, or community concerning typical topics, either topics that we struggle with, topics that we're thinking about or we're wondering about, or current hot topics of the day. Today's topic is about embracing change. We are going to be talking about the journey towards acceptance. And I am super, super, super excited about today's special guest, Shonika Sky Stovall. Y'all will hear me refer to her as Sky because she's my sister, okay? um, but Sky, go ahead and introduce yourself to the butterflies.
Hello, butterflies. I love butterflies, by the way. Um, well, again, my name is Sky. Um, about me. So, I'm an accountant. I'm a fashion designer. I'm a mentor. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a lover. I'm a lover girl. Meaning, I love everybody. I love love. I love pouring out love. I love receiving love. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
We are so, 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 so glad to have you. And everything that you said was true, baby. You are the queen of all trades, okay? I feel like you kind of gave a little too short of like a tidbit on like what you do and how you do it. Y'all, she is a stellar seamstress, okay?
Well,
She
thank
is
you.
a philanthropist, okay? She has a business. It's called E3 Women, baby,
Oh,
public speaking, giving back to the community, pouring into women, motivating women, uplifting women, baby, it's her. Okay. Let's dive into the meat of the conversations today. I'm really, really hype about this topic. We just gonna have girl chat just between the two of us. And of course, there will be some time for you all butterflies who are joining us live to dive into the conversation during our butterfly chat and ask any questions that you may have for either myself or for Sky. Okay. All right, so Sky, the first thing I want to ask you, change can like bring up so many different feelings, but uncertainty is definitely one of them. How do
hmm
you find balance between embracing the unknown and maintaining stability in your life?
um, well, how I find stability and how I embrace the unknown is trusting God.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's so cliche, but I really do trust the process. Whatever is happening, I just think that He sees that it's fit. And
Mhm.
so I just learned to trust that and lean more on his understanding than my own, for things that I don't necessarily agree with, for things that are um, uncomfortable, for things that, you know, that I'm sorry, but
You're
for things that bring
fine.
about like struggle and insecurities and worry and all of that, again, I just learned that in this moment, in this season, God sees fit. And I just have to accept that. Acceptance is the biggest thing. Um, and learning like that I can't control things that are out of my control. Like, I'm not always in control, and I am the type of person where I always want to be in control.
Oh,
And,
I can drink to that, honey.
and I know that there's a higher power, and I know that, God is the one that's overseeing my life. He's the one that's orchestrating my path. And so
Mhm.
even the times where I stray off that path, he always, you know, allows something to occur that puts me back on track. And so,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm just learning to trust him more. Um, Life is a funny thing.
Mhm.
And being an adult now is nothing how I imagined as a kid. And I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
So, I grew up with praying grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
One of my grandfathers was a pastor. And I grew up in the Baptist church, Pentecostal, and Apostolic church. I've been
Mm-hmm.
baptized 3 times. I don't know what it may say about my past, but
And it's
I need
fine.
to cleanse with that holy water several times.
Okay.
But I might need to be baptized one more time. But let me. But I say all that to say that now that I'm older, my relationship with God is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can admit that I'm not a huge church goer anymore. I don't go to church as consistently or often as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I've I've found more ways to strengthen that relationship and to maintain that relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so my relationship with God pretty much answered that question.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like it's real. And I know you started your answer with like, oh, it's cliche, but it's cliche for those who think that it's cliche, and it's real for those who understand that, like, if that's what keeps you rooted and grounded and helps you to navigate the channels or the different variations of life that may be coming and going, then it's not cliche for you, it's just real. So thank you for sharing that. I do have another question. I want to know, you mentioned like there's some personal experiences or like as you go through life, right? So can you share with us a personal experience where you face significant change? How did you initially react? And then what steps did you ultimately take to accept and adapt to that change?
Um, well, I haven't shared this testimony with many people outside my close family and friends,
Mhm,
but I can speak of my most recent obstacle.
mhm,
I got laid off in December of 2022,
mhm,
and I pretty much was out of work the entire last year. And so, how I reacted initially was, oh, it's okay. I've gone through a work gap before. It's okay. I'll find employment soon. But then as the months began to roll by, I was like, okay, this transition isn't happening fast enough. And so I started to question God. I did. I started to question why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? What's taking so long? What do you want me to do in this waiting period? And so I went through some dark times. I had my moments. I cried. I was stressed, depressed, all of that. But it didn't last long. I will say that because I've always been a survivor.
mhm,
Um, and so I knew that at that when I began to feel weak and broken, I knew that I had to rely on my faith and my
mhm,
strength. And I knew that in this season, it's going to require some discipline. It's going to require some sacrifice. And things that used to consume me, things that used to get my attention, it can't get my attention anymore. So I was okay with that. I
mhm,
couldn't go shopping. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't outside. I wasn't doing any of that. I pretty much had to cut back on my lifestyle. I had to cut back on what I was feeding my flesh. Um, and so, yeah. And so, again, maintaining my relationship, strengthening my relationship, I knew that he was stripping me away he was stripping, things away because he needed my full attention.
mhm,
Everything that we go through, every trial, every tribulation, it's for his glory.
mhm.
And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm preaching right now, or I
Don't
sound like
apologize.
I'm
Listen,
I shouldn't apologize for that.
be yourself.
I just said something like I didn't know I was going to Bible study today, but that's the answer. That's the answer to everything. I say all that to say, last year was a really, really trying time for me. It was really dark, and I found myself in a relationship.
Mhm.
that relationship wasn't feeding my soul. It wasn't adding to my life. And so I even had to eliminate that. The only relationship that I needed at that time was God. You know, He was the only source that could provide me every single thing that I needed. And so, you know, I had people saying, you know, on the right saying, maybe this, maybe that, or do this or do that. And you have people on this side also giving advice. And I will like to say that I really do appreciate my village. I appreciate my supporters, my friends, my sisters, my cousins, my mom. I just appreciate everyone that's in my life. Um, that uplifted me during that time, that was there for me. I do want to say that. But you know, back to my point, you know, it was just so many. I was getting so many different. I was getting so much different advice,
Yeah.
and so I had to block out the noise because I love you, mom and dad. But you know, one of the advice was, you know, maybe you just need to go back home. You know, because I was still paying rent, I was still paying all my bills, and that's another thing. Ooh, thank God, he allowed for me to still be able to maintain a roof over my head. I'm so grateful for that. You know, but I you sometimes you have people that say things, and for me it's a sign of giving up. It's a sign of throwing in the towel, and I just didn't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I stayed in the fire, you know, until God pretty much provided everything that was going to extinguish that fire. I stayed in it. I didn't run from my problems. I didn't run from the situation because it was hard. I understood that it was necessary.
Mm.
Why? I don't know.
That's so good. Like I heard you say so like first of all, thank you for sharing this. And I heard you say so many things. I heard you say like you had to get quiet. So on your journey to accepting and embracing change, that abrupt change, like being laid off is just not listen,
It's not.
that's a lot.
It
So
is.
everything that comes with it can also be a lot, and rightfully so. But I heard you say that what helped you get through it or navigate that period was getting quiet, kind of like killing the noise around you, and getting quiet helped you kind of assess like what you were feeling in different places that you were in. That was an example of the relationship at the time. And you were taking inventory on like, okay, is this bearing me fruit? Or is this causing me more pain or causing me to be more in my situation? And it wasn't fruitful. So therefore you had to remove yourself from that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and even that I'm sure was hard, but what you ended saying was that just because it was hard, you didn't utilize the difficulty of the situation as an excuse to abort the mission. You didn't utilize the difficulty or the uncertainty of the situation to make you just give up. And I think that there's something to be said about that, because it's really, really, really difficult to go through a new transition in life, especially for us, like we the aunties. You know what I mean? Like we grew up with aunties, but like we are the aunties now. Like we are the you mentioned like growing up, you grew up with a praying grandmother. You grew up with in the church, and I grew up in the church too. My mama was a Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized baby. Like like praying oil on the head before we walked out the door to go to the school bus. And I'm like, wipe my forehead. Why would you put all this oil on my forehead from going to the bus? But the reality is like it's not that we are no longer living off of those prayers or no longer living off of those things, but we have a duty to pass down now to the next generation. But I think it's so important for us to understand that like we have to go through our journey first. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have to go through, I'm sure like my mom, your grandmother, your parents, like they didn't just on a whim know what to impart in you. And so we're not going to just know on a whim what to impart to the next generation or to our nieces, our nephews, and one day our kids, right? I mean, even each other. But change, I feel like, is oftentimes the catalyst of the lessons that we learn. Change, I feel like, in how we embrace those changes, um,
Mm-hmm.
can oftentimes be like, oh, well, that's my aha moment about myself. Or maybe I need to understand, like, what is it that helps me navigate change better? What is it that helps me get through situations better? And for you, it's God. It's centering yourself, it's quieting yourself. And I think that that's a beautiful thing for our listeners to, take away. Like, understand and unpack, if you don't know, what helps you get through tough times. And no matter how cliche it may sound to somebody else, baby, do what works for you. But
Mm-hmm.
understand that change sometimes is messy. Change sometimes is hard. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, change can be heartbreaking, but it's like the treasure at the end of the rainbow. Like, if you stick
Mm-hmm.
with it, you are literal proof, like evidence, that if you stick in it and if you stick with it and you don't give up when it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
like everything that you thought you lost, God will restore that
Mm-hmm.
plus more.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. Thank you for sharing that, Sky. I want to also know, how has embracing change positively impacted your personal growth?
Mm, let me think.
Mhm.
How has it impacted my personal growth? I would say, I mean, it's making me more of the woman that I want to become. And what I mean by that is calm,
Yeah.
reserved, um, just exuding confidence and positivity, you
Yeah.
know. Um, you know, we've been sisters for a while, so
Yeah.
um I used to be like a ticking time bomb, like as far as like my temperament, my patience, all of that. But embracing change for me is making me all the things that I want to become. And again, that's calm and that's patient and that's peaceful.
Mm.
Um, I love that about me now. The
Yeah.
way that I respond to tough situations, the way that I respond to confrontation, the way that I respond to uncomfortableness now is like sometimes I even shock myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think, some things don't require too much, sometimes. And so for me, I'm just learning to just sit back, just chill, relax, inhale and exhale, and everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna
Yeah.
always work out for a greater good. So yeah.
I love that. And I love, it sounds like you're embracing I know it's like this whole thing on social media, soft girl era. I want to live a soft life. I want to live a soft life. But I feel like soft life is like, by way of definition, just like success is like on your own terms. Like, success to me and success to you may look different. And I feel like
Mm-hmm,
soft girl life to me and soft girl life to you also it looks different. It's not just a one size fit all like definition. But that's what I heard you say. Like, when I heard you speak, I'm like, oh, she's giving soft girl life. Like,
it's soft.
and soft girl life to me is like you said, like being able to rest in your femininity. I don't have to buck up at you. I don't have to
Mhm.
be all whatever
Aggressive.
it is. Yeah, aggressive to get my point across, or because something didn't go my way. I will say, for me, honey, I'm still learning to embrace change. Um
Okay.
it's a journey.
It is. I think it's always gonna. I think that's inevitable.
Yeah,
Inevitable. Like,
yeah,
'cause we're always gonna experience some type of change. We're
yeah.
always transitioning to a new season, a new chapter, all of that. So you have no choice but to learn how to embrace it.
Do you find that, like, how, like, in different seasons or in different situations, how you embrace change changes? So,
Yes,
like,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I'm like, because I know I do, and I was just like, I wanted to do normalize me, sis. Like,
yeah. You're not alone. Absolutely. I would say like in my past, like I would say early 20s, um, it would be it was easier for me to like panic,
yeah,
go straight into panic mode or to be sensitive about it. and just generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
or to find reasons to be hostile, or things like that. But now, again, as I just described, like now, I just want to be gentle.
Yes.
I gentle. I want to receive gentleness, in every aspect of my life. And I know it's not gonna always be that way, but I'm just saying, like, now I just have a different outlook. So yes, absolutely. I think our perspectives change. Things that we go through, they reshape us. They reshape our perception. All of that. So of course, as you continue to matriculate through life, your
Mhm.
response, your feelings towards things is always going to be changed just as you're changing. And
Absolutely.
so yeah.
And it's a journey, like relocating to another state.
Mm.
Okay, honey, with no support, no friends, no, you know what I mean? It's just like that's a huge change. That's a huge
Mm.
transition. It was difficult. And I'm not gonna lie, like the first 2 years, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. I'm going back home. I'm going back to South Carolina. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't. And then I got married. And then there was another change. But because I didn't embrace or accept the first one, the relocation, I feel like it absolutely played a role as to how I accepted and embraced a beautiful one, which was getting married,
Mm.
right? And then getting a new job. It's like, okay, I believe for me, because how do I want to say this? How we accept, or if we don't accept or embrace changes as they come, they will act as a domino and spill, like
Mm.
as a full glass, and spill over into the next
Mhm.
situation. So it'll make the next situation look and appear and feel way worse than what it actually is, because
Mhm.
we didn't do our work and handle the first situation.
Mhm.
So, yes, how we deal with things are going to change based on where we are in our lives, and based on our perspective, and based on our expectations. Ooh, child, that's a topic for
Yeah,
another.
that's right.
Woo! But also, I know for me, my ability and like the measure of which I've embraced change over time and with different situations has had a lot to do with if my cup is full, or if my cup is like, if I'm starting with a fresh slate from having not embraced change previously, or am I trying to hold on to something that literally God just wants me to release? Like,
Mm. Mm.
you didn't stepped out, girl. You didn't relocated your whole life. You're here.
You're here now.
So it's hard. And are you bucking back because it's hard? Or you
Mm.
bucking back because you really don't feel called to be here? And my
Mm.
truth was, I was bucking back because it was hard. Like, this is
Mm.
unfamiliar. This is uncomfortable. I ain't got no
Mm.
friends here. I want my mama. Like, just I
Yeah.
want some familiarity. So it was hard, but I will say that since embracing the relocation, I've there's been so much fruit that has come from being in this new place.
Mhm. Because you're in a space now to where you can receive what all comes with it. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is so good. Let me go to the chat. We got Marge here from Connecticut. She says, "Hello ladies, tuning in from Connecticut. I love it." We have Gordon. Hi Gordon. Hi everybody. Hi Charnay. My mom says we are so much stronger than we think. Yes, we are. I love it. Now Sky, I want you to think back to, let's say, the recent season of your life.
Mm.
Actually, no, because you embraced that change. You embraced that one. You just was like, I'm gonna hug you, baby. We changing and this is uncomfortable, but I'm hugging you. So let's not even think about that one. Let's think back to a season of your life or a situation where change was just like coming at you so fast. It was also extremely annoying, and it was also all unfamiliar. And I want you to imagine talking to somebody about like everything that's happening, and you're just like, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. You're not yet in a place of accepting this change. And that person tells you, Sky, just give yourself grace.
Mhm.
Give yourself grace. Knowing what you know now, What does giving yourself grace in that season look like?
Knowing what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if I could go back to that time, and if I would have given myself grace, what that would have looked like. Um, Being optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, 'cause I think that's a part of embracing change. Um, Being happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Still being driven.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm listing these things, I'm listing all the things I wasn't.
Mm.
How I allowed that season and that change to defeat me, and everything that I pretty much had giving up. And it was those type of things again. I was very depressed, very depressed. And I didn't show it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we know how to mask things or
Yeah.
whatever. But again, I just would have been happier. You know, I would have been confident because I lost that too.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my confidence. I lost my drive. Darn near lost my mind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so yeah, giving yourself grace to me means all those things. Just continuing to live life like it's golden. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
I love that. And I love that you said that the things that you were listing and the things that you were bringing up were things that you kind of like you didn't have, like things that you didn't allow yourself to have in that space. Or maybe even I'll even go as far as to say, like, maybe you didn't know that those were things that you were giving up by
Mhm.
not necessarily embracing the change or giving yourself grace. And I want to put something into the space just to let it be known that just because we feel feelings, right? Like, this is just a current reality for me.
I
Um,
already know what I'm gonna say.
like, we feeling feelings and we have emotions, right? Our
Mhm.
emotions ebb and flow. Emotions are normal. Emotions,
Mhm.
like, we're not crazy because we feel sad one minute and happy the next. Like, but I feel like people can make us feel like that, right? We're not crazy because, you know, we might feel like, I don't know, the in and out of like focused and then unfocused, or like, I want to participate, I don't want to participate. I think
Mhm.
it's just the ebb and flow of emotions. But joy itself is something that is everlasting
Mhm.
when we understand where joy comes from, right?
Mhm.
So if we put our joy in like our current reality, if we put our joy in a job, if we put our
Mhm.
joy in money, if we put our joy in a house or material things, material goods, when those things ebb and flow, guess what's also going to ebb and flow? Our joy.
Mhm.
But our emotions do not dictate our joy. They
Mhm.
are two entities separate.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you can be sad and you can still have joy. And so
Mhm.
what does that look like? It's a sad girl day, but I understand that this is not my life. This is a day.
Mhm.
And giving yourself grace in that sad girl day looks like, I'm not going to have fake positivity about how I feel, but I am going to give myself grace and actually give myself some time. I like to put myself on a time crunch. And if I can't do it, I do have a live-in accountability partner who helps me.
Mhm.
She helps me and reminds me, like, all right, you didn't give this situation too much of your focus, too much of
Mhm.
your energy. I'm not about to sit by and let it consume you.
Yeah.
So sit in this bed for a couple of hours and do what you got to do. But I'm gonna be downstairs when you're ready. And if you take too long, I'm coming back up here. Like,
Mhm.
giving yourself grace means giving yourself that space and that time to feel.
Feel, yes.
That is not your life.
Right.
Kind of wanted that to be conveyed as
Yeah.
well. Um, I love it. I love it. We're going to open up the chat. This is now the butterflies, your opportunity to actually participate. Ask any questions that you have. We actually have a question in the chat. What's the lesson after regaining those things, after loss of confidence and happiness? So, Sky, that question is for you.
All right, what's the lesson? And what's the lesson after regaining those things, after loss of confidence and happiness? Um, I think the lesson is exactly what this title of this chat is embracing change.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that because we're going to go through things. And to piggyback off of what you said, it's okay to allow yourself to feel. It's okay to sit in that moment, but don't allow that moment to consume you or dictate the joy of your day. And so for me, after going through that dark time and that situation, I told myself going forward, I won't ever allow a situation to get me that down. I would never allow the loss of something that can be restored and be restored times 10 get me to a place where I don't know me, where
Right.
I don't still have my faith or my confidence. And so now I'm very big on every day I choose joy. Every day I choose peace. And you have to be intentional about it. And so you, I'm every day I'm very intentional about being happy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself, okay, there are gonna be some things that's gonna happen today, but how are you gonna respond? How are you gonna allow it to dictate the rest of your day? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I still have my moments. I'm not perfect. I'm constantly evolving and I'm constantly going through things.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what I said earlier, my overall perception of life has changed.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm so optimistic now that I know that everything that we go through, everything that's tangible is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's not is what's in here.
Yeah.
This here, my joy, my peace, my
Mm-hmm.
confidence, my happiness, all of that, my peace of mind, my sanity, that's everlasting. The
Mm-hmm.
emotions that God has given us, those all of those things, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna remain. And so the other obstacles of life that come and go, they're temporary. And I
Yeah.
only allow my feelings about them to be temporary. I don't hold grudges. I'm a very forgiving person. So I'm still cool with most of my exes. Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. You so
I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I just learned to just let go. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just learned to let go. It's a lot of lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on and on in days. About it, but I hope from what I said, you was able to gain some type of answer. I hope I answered your question.
I definitely gained answers from your question. And I guess because I know for me, in my lessons, the lessons that I learned from like the example that I shared about just like the different changes, those 3 different changes that I was going through: relocation, getting married, having a new job, after abrupt layoff as well, during wedding planning. It was a lot.
Oh,
Um, was
that's
it was so much. But similar lessons, honestly, Sky, like similar lessons. Keep putting my joy where it belongs, number one, but then also like feeding my spirit,
mm-hmm.
being mindful of what I feed my spirit, because when life ebb and flows, and it's going to do that, it is inevitable. Like it's just inevitable. When life ebb and flows, what remains, as you said, is what's within. And so if what's within, or if what's coming out is like sadness and negativity and like down and out, that's because that's what's in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to do my job and my work, whether it be in therapy with a coach, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, journaling, whatever it is. I have to do my work to uproot the negative that's within and actually fill it with some positivity. Like attacking my confidence baby, because I'm a sure thing. Why am I a sure thing? Because God said I'm a sure thing. He ain't bat an eye when he created me. So why am I batting an eye? Like, why are you batting an eye? Like, but we have to pour those things inside of us in order
Mm-hmm.
for us to actually have those things to come up. So I think like the lesson for me is always be pouring into myself
Mm-hmm.
in season and out of season, the things that I know will bear fruit when I feel like it's an off season.
Mm.
Because, baby, confidence and happiness, I feel like that's like my plague. Like it's always coming from my confidence and my happiness. So like, why? um, when you're going through transition and when you're facing like change, what are two things that you just have to do that bring you joy?
Self-care.
Okay.
And that consists of like, a laundry list of things.
Yeah.
And I know for different people that may look different,
Mhm.
but that is what brings me joy. Like,
Mhm.
just, and like you said, pouring into myself. That's a part of pouring into myself.
Mhm.
Self care. Still making sure I look and feel good.
Yeah.
Um, I love outdoors, so I love going on picnics or taking walks.
Yes.
I also like journaling.
Mhm.
Um, and pouring back into people because especially when I'm in a real like down season,
Mhm.
um I find joy in still being able to pour into someone else. I find joy in being a blessing to other people.
Mhm.
And so because I always have to tell myself like my situation could be a lot worse.
Mhm.
And so just extending my hand to help another, that always helps me. Recently, even though I wasn't working, even though I was still in between jobs and still like trying to figure out how I'm gonna continue to maintain my bills, it
Mhm.
didn't stop me from going to buy food, cooking it, and going downtown to pass it out to the homeless. And
Mhm.
just seeing the joy on their faces and just knowing that they were gonna have a home cooked meal that night, it just brought me so much joy and peace. And I didn't worry about what I was lacking at that moment.
Yeah. It's so beautiful what you said. Like when you pour into somebody else, it literally is it's feeling when you're a pourer, right? When you're poor, it's feeling it fills your heart with joy. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't remove the reality of your situation, but it does add, you know, like, you know what, as you said, perspective. It changes the perspective and can change the narrative so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I love this whole like there's this saying that somebody shared with me. Life be lifing, but you also be and then fill in the blank. So for me, I was coaching at the time and I was like, I really don't feel like being here. There's a lot going on. I'm tired. And so he said, life be lifing, but coaches still be coaching. So put your coaching hat on and get to business.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, for me, like I was hearing that as you were talking about how like life was lifing for you, but your philanthropy was still philanthropying. Like you was still giving back to the community. You know what I'm saying? Like who
Yeah.
we are is not, it should not, the root of who we are, it shouldn't ebb and flow based on our situation. And if we are in situations or in seasons when it does, understand that that's okay. And if for those of you watching or listening, your situation may not be like Sky's or how she described, where you were laid off and you were just like, I'm still gonna go down and I'm gonna cook this food for the homeless and I'm gonna give back to them. It may look different. It may look like you literally just showing up to a family function, even though you feel like,
I don't want to be around anyone right now.
right. It might be the thing that helps you like change your perspective in a situation or in a season that you're in to kind of take your focus off of what's going wrong and help you
Mhm.
focus on what's going right. Help
Mhm.
you lean into some joy and some positivity and some
Mhm.
happiness and some self-care and some community. Because one thing that I have learned, baby, is that isolation, especially during a season of change and transition, is dangerous.
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It can be beautiful now. Don't get me wrong.
It's sometimes necessary.
That's right. That's right. It's sometimes necessary, but we have to be in tune with self, and I believe and we believe with God enough to know, like, all right, is this a season of isolation?
Mhm.
Is this a moment of isolation? Or is this just a week of isolation? But a
Yeah.
life of isolation is not of God. I mean, I'm not a pastor, don't come for me. Infer what you want from it. However, he created us to be in community with one another. And I believe that there's beauty in conversing. I believe that there's beauty in community. I believe that there's beauty in, being real about where we are, what we need, and literally we gain things when we share. But of course you want to have discernment with who you sharing what
Yeah.
with. Have discernment about who you sharing what with and when you're sharing it. But definitely it's so important to do that. I have one thing that I want to ask of you, Sky. What advice would you give to one of the butterflies watching or listening who is currently struggling to accept a major change in their life?
Um, the advice that I would give is just be optimistic, remain faithful, remain joyful, and be adaptable. Be
Mm,
adaptable. Because when we try to resist that change, it brings about more doubt,
mhm,
more uncomfortableness.
mhm,
It brings about insecurity, deception, all of that. And so just understand that it's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It's always a light. Trust me, it's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And God is intentional. He is an intentional God. And even when we do not understand or agree, it's necessary. It's
mhm.
necessary for the next level. He's especially if you're someone and you're looking to elevate. Um, if you're praying for change, if you're praying for things to be revealed or revamped or whatever the case is, the grounds beneath you, baby, they're gonna shake.
Yes,
Okay,
God.
they, the grounds beneath you, they're gonna begin to shift. Okay, and so as they're shifting, you're gonna have to find a ways for you to remain stable. And
Mm,
so sit still. And like I said, I had to do quiet the noise around you. Sit still and sit quiet, and so that you're able to be alert when he's giving you signs, when he's speaking to you,
mm,
and be discerning.
mhm.
We're all blessed with the spirit of discernment, and
Yes.
you really have to tap into that,
Mm,
especially when you're going through a season of transition.
mhm.
And we're not always going through seasons. Sometimes life is just what it is at that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just be content with that. But it's so necessary to tap into your discernment when you start to feel, okay, some things are shifting, you know,
Mhm.
things are beginning to change. And so, yeah, that's my advice.
I love that.
Long winded, but yeah.
I love it. All of it was so necessary, as you said. It was so necessary. In the chat, we have some comments. It's such a beautiful, excuse me, I'm making words up. It's such a blessing when you can give out of your need, meaning you're in a place of not having, but you focus on helping others. God honors that. God honors that. Um, Change is inevitable. We must learn how to adapt to change and go with the spirit of God. And I definitely think that that's so spot on with what you were saying. Like, all of us are blessed with this, with the gift of discernment. I feel like sometimes when we talk about like, what is your gift and what is your gift and what is your talent, we sometimes think it has to be this large, immaculate, spiritual thing. Like, if you are a homemaker, like, that is a gift. Not everybody is blessed with the gift of being a homemaker, baby.
Mm-hmm.
If you are warm and fuzzy and you're a great greeter, like, that's a gift. If you
Mm-hmm.
are a great cook, that's a gift. If you are like a great counselor or a great friend, like, understand that's a gift,
That's
baby.
a gift. Yeah.
That's a gift. So using discernment is a gift that all of us have, or having discernment is a gift that all of us have. And I appreciate you for saying that, because I feel like too often people count themselves out of the number of like, do I have discernment? What is discernment? Oh, that's a good question. What is discernment, Sky? What is discernment?
Discernment is that gut feeling.
Yes, Lord.
But no, but it's like an awakening.
Mhm,
I don't know. It's just this spiritual awareness
mhm,
when things are off, when things are on, or when it's up, when it's down. It's just something that's here. For me, it's like when the mind and the heart, it just aligns. Like, you don't really have to question it or whatever.
mhm.
But that's what it is for me.
I love it, and I 100% agree. I agree. I agree with what you said the first time. Like, it's it's ultimately, some people call it intuition, some people call it discernment. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, being able to like sit still and quiet with yourself and be able to listen to like, what is your heart saying and what is your mind saying, and are they in agreement with one another? Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Pay
Mhm.
attention to like your energy when you are around certain people and in certain spaces, and when you're eating certain things, when you watching certain things on TV. Like,
Mhm.
pay attention to what's going on in your spirit.
Mhm.
That's discernment. And the more that you literally practice it and be obedient to it, I
Mhm.
feel like the stronger it gets.
Key
Like,
word, obedience.
obedient to it. um in the chat, it's lots of thank yous for the advice. So your advice is landing. I know he was like, I don't know if that was advice. It is advice, baby. It's landing. Change isn't always easy, but also necessary at times. We have to be obedient and shift. Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. It's
absolutely.
not easy. It's not easy. But one thing that I want to make sure that we all be reminded of is just that change is not easy, but change is inevitable. Change is not always beautiful, just like growing is not always beautiful. Change is hard. But as Sky said so many times, not giving up when it's hard is going to give you the fruit that you desire to produce. But understand that if you asking for change, whether you're asking for it or not, the ground under you is going to be shaky. It's going to shake. Like K Michelle shaking the table. No,
Mhm.
seriously. No, it's going to shake. And you have to be willing to
Mhm.
like keep yourself stable or stabilize yourself. And
Mhm.
for her, what has stabilized her in those moments is her relationship with God. You mentioned, I'm not in church right now, none of the things. We are the church, baby. We are the church. We are the church, meaning like what's in us, the God that's in us, it is up to us to go out and share it with other people.
Mhm.
And yes, we do it in church. Yes, we come to church and we commune with one another and we have praise and worship, baby, because I love my church. I love going to church. However, however, it don't stop outside of the four walls of church. And without church doesn't mean that it's, you are lacking a relationship and your relationship
Absolutely not.
is solid. So
Absolutely.
I see also in the chat, I'm gonna make sure I'm not missing anybody. Um,
Yes, we have some more comments.
Everyone you don't even when you don't want the change, your intuition and discernment shows you when God is in the midst, he will make it happen with or without your permission, baby.
Absolutely.
That's so
A
true.
word. That is a
So
word.
true. Doing it afraid is better than not moving out of comfort. Ooh, that'll preach, honey. That will preach. Doing it afraid is better than not moving out of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much discomfort that's gonna come to you as a result of you not moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So either way, you're gonna be uncomfortable.
Right. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining Candid Conversations today. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
sharing your beautiful testimony, giving our butterflies advice, giving us tips, things that have worked for you during your seasons of transition and change and your journey towards embracing and accepting it. I hope and pray that everybody who joined live and those of you who are watching this playback on our YouTube channel, or those of you who are listening by way of podcast, that you're bearing some fruit from this. Now, before we leave, y'all know I'm going to let Scott tell y'all where y'all can find her and what she has coming up. But there's also some homework for y'all, okay? So don't y'all leave yet if you're live. I can see you. There is some homework for you. I want you to think back to a situation or period in your life where things were changing and you were met with the decision to embrace those changes or to not embrace them. Consider the consequences of not embracing the changes, and then consider the benefits of embracing them and unpack what's hindering you from leaning into embracing.
I love that.
Y'all, make sure y'all do y'all homework, okay? Sky, let us know how we can tap in with you. Where can we find you? What you got going on and what you got coming up?
Well, how you can tap into the sky or tap in with the sky. If you just go outside and like stand there
No,
and
not
like
the Sky.
lay your
We want
head
to tap
right and
in with
look up.
you, Sky.
I'm just playing. I'm just
She's
playing.
such a comedian, y'all. And honestly, she really is funny in real life. And she can rap. Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do
You
that.
can.
But no, seriously, you can follow me here. My brand page is Sky underscore Lacouture. That's SKY underscore LACOUTURE. Also, you can follow me at E3 Women. I haven't been active on there in some years, and we'll talk about that later. That's another discussion. Okay. That's also a part of embracing change and going through trials and tribulations. But yeah,
Baby, if we don't know
but
nothing about that over here, we do.
right. But still tap in because, I do have some things in store. Um, the future does hold some beautiful things. So yeah, it was a great time, sis. I really do appreciate you having me. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to just, continue to burst out of my shell and also to sit here and chat with you. I really do love you. You're such a beautiful spirit. I love you so much. I love everything about you.
Thank
You
you.
know,
I
I
love
see the growth. I see it. I see the light. You're shining. Continue to shine. Continue to be you. Continue to allow God to use you. Continue to use this platform for positive movement. And continue to impact lives. Be a power of good in the 21st century.
okay. BCBC. I
But no,
sure will. Thank you so much,
I
sister.
see you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Um, this has just been such a pleasure. This has been such a pleasure, such an honor. Y'all make sure that y'all tap in to her pages. Make sure that you tap into her community, tap into her network. If you need something sewn, baby, you need a dress, you need a gown, you need a cape, you need a blanket, you
No.
need, anything. I mean, and I mean like a cape, it's giving cape, okay? Because it's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be glam.
Thank
Hit
you.
her up on her fashion page. She is amazingly talented with her hands, honey.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, that wraps up today's episode. If you're not tapped into Beauty Beyond the Mirror, make sure you follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. And also, this episode is also available on Spotify for podcasters. So if you have not tuned in there, make sure that you tune in, and we will see y'all in the chat, literally on social media throughout the week. Make sure that you're engaging, and do not forget your homework. Remember, change is inevitable, but change is a requirement for our growth. Y'all
Amen.
are fully equipped. You have
Yes.
what it takes.
Yep.
If you don't have a village surrounding you to embrace you or lift you up through your changes,
We can
tap
be your
into
friend.
us, honey. We are inviting you into the room.
Yes.
You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Don't you ever forget it, and don't let nobody ever make you
Yes.
think different. Have the most amazing Saturday. Go do something for you. And cheers. How's it going, y'all?
Bye. Love you, sis.
Love you too. Like, when I see you, I see strength. When I see you, I see confidence. When I see you, I see like authenticity. I genuinely see, of course, like, you're external, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, always have been. But your inside matches literally what you look like on the outside. You are stunning
Oh, sis.
inside and out.
You too. You too.
Just don't forget that. Don't forget that. And if you need a reminder, call me.
Okay. Will do. Will do. But
I
no,
love you.
when you said that it stopped being about your commitment to people and your commitment to God, because I can really attest to that.
Yeah.
A lot of things, like, you speak on them, you tell people, I got this plan, I'm going to do this, and then when they do not happen, or they don't happen in the time frame in which you planned, for me in the past, I feel like I was letting people down.
Yes.
And I'm like, no. And so it's gotten to a point where something don't occur. It's because I'm letting myself down. It's because I'm not being obedient. It's because I'm not being disciplined. And it's about what my purpose is and what God has assigned me to.
Yeah.
And all the other things that I want to manifest, they're not going to manifest until I fulfill my assignment.
That's so good. Oh, that's good. That was good for me, honey. Man, that was good.
Yeah. So I when you said that, I feel it 100%. So now what I practice is I move in silence. Now you hear that a lot, and when I used to hear it, being a person that is like an oversharer and also want to be the person that is getting updated, in my younger days, I looked at it immaturely, like, are you moving in silent? Are you trying to be private? Are you trying to, like, be 10 steps ahead? But it's like now, it's like, no, moving in silent, meaning protecting the asset, protecting the gift, protecting the assignment. Because you never know, and I don't question anybody that's in my village. I don't question anybody that I'm connected to, because if I got to question you, the relationship is void.
Yeah.
But I move in silent now because I don't want to feel like people are holding me accountable. I want to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
I want God to be the one that's holding me accountable. And if something is not happening, the only person that I'm letting down is Him. I don't got to feel embarrassed. I don't got to feel shameful when something don't happen. And then such and such say, I thought you were doing this, or what happened to that?
Yeah.
And now I make up some excuse or reason. I don't got to do that. And then two, I just want to see things. I want to see the process, and I want to see how things play out. And then I want to present my family and friends with the results.
Yeah.
This is what I've been working on. This is what has been consuming my time. This is why I couldn't make it to the barbecue. This is why I couldn't make it to girls' night or game night. But listen, I got this thing here, and I want to share it with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the mindset. That's the mindset. So yeah.
That has so much to do with how we accept and embrace change. I feel like really our ability to embrace or accept it, ultimately, it comes down to mindset. Like, and so if the wherewithal, like, if the desire is there, that's one thing. Desire and skill are different. Like, you don't need to practice desire. You shouldn't practice desire if it's not desired. Like, you can't make yourself desire it. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, but you don't know how to do it, like I don't know how. I know I'm an oversharer, but I know I don't want to be an oversharer, but I don't know how not to be an oversharer.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to like study, like, okay, what does it look like? Like you said, move in silence. What does that even look like? How do I do that? Why would I do that? How is that going to benefit me? What are the consequences if I don't do that? And then begin to like understand the why. I feel like the why matters so much in everything. And
Mm-hmm.
something that was said to me is like, it was something like, if your why doesn't make you cry, then why would you even try?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's true. But if you don't know your why, you're just gonna be stopping, or quitting when it gets hard, or giving up.
Mm-hmm.
So really understanding and getting down to like the why is so key and so important. And then being able to move from the why to the what. And then, like you said, I know my what. I used to be an oversharer. Okay, that was my what. But my what to combat that, to get to my what I want and desire, is I need to learn to move in silence. And why am I going to do that? Because I don't want to deal with what's coming from
Oh
everybody else
my
over here. I don't want to deal with that. That's a distraction that keeps me further pushed away. And I just love that you're so self-aware to know like what you can handle and what you can't. What's conducive to your growth and just what is handicapping it. And I hope that, you know, my wish and my desire is that we all get to that level of self-awareness. And not just for the purposes of knowing, but actually for the purposes of doing, and like reaping the fruit of like all the beautifulness that our life has to offer. Because it's so
Mm-hmm.
be in it. It's
Yeah.
so be in it.
Yeah. I hear a lot like my mom used to say I live like I'm in a fairy tale. And I've always
Same.
say since I was a little girl, I always been
Same.
in fairy tale land. Even
Yes.
now I still be in fairy tale land. Like what you do is you tell yourself that you're playing a role in a movie and you get in character.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I look at the different chapters of my life.
Yeah.
Every chapter is a different movie for me.
Yeah.
Different role. I'm in a different scene. It's a different scenery. It's just what it is. The supporting cast are different sometimes.
Yes.
You
I
know,
love this.
that friend in the group that's not married. I don't have kids, and so
Yeah.
I call myself a serial dater.
Mhm.
And so as I go through, my different relationships, or as I go through dating and getting to know people, as I'm growing as a human, like as I'm growing as a woman, for me, I'm in a different movie. It's a different scene. It's a different role, and I'm in character. And I don't mean that in a way where I'm not portraying my real self. I'm,
Right.
I'm just embracing this version of me.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah,
think that's so good. Like, that's so good because what I want to ask you first, like, do you feel like because of that, that it's helped you to manage how you respond when expectations are not met?
absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, by now I thought that I would be married with kids, and when I reached my 30s and that wasn't the case, I was like, damn, the life that I had envisioned is not my reality,
Yeah.
And when I did get into my last long term relationship, and I was like, okay, this is it, this is the one. I'm finally about to build that life I want. When things didn't go as planned, and that was actually one of my darkest times of change or transition. When
Yeah.
that ended, I had to move. We were living together in a different state. I had to
Mhm.
move back to Georgia, no job, back in with my parents.
Yeah.
I cut my hair. So
Yeah.
now I'm like going through that transition.
Yeah.
I've lost weight. I'm not really happy with what I see in the mirror, all of that. Yeah. So it just, again, telling myself, okay, this is just another version of you. It's
Yeah.
just a different chapter. um is not, it doesn't meet the expectations. But
Mm,
how are you gonna live in it? How are you gonna maneuver? And
yeah.
the only way to do that is acceptance, and just being optimistic and adapting to what's now. You know,
Yeah.
and knowing that every day you wake up is a new opportunity to create a new life. It's still an opportunity to create the future you want. And like I love, like I just, life is so beautiful to me, even though it's a lot of, craziness going around us. I just love the fact that every day you wake up is like reset.
Yep.
What can I do differently
Mm-hmm.
to, that's gonna add, or that's going to contribute to the life I want, you
Yeah.
know? Because looking back, some of the people that I thought were gonna be hubby, I am so glad. Who the woman I am today,
Yeah.
I did not settle for that, baby. I am so glad.
Yes.
I just like, even when it comes to that aspect, like I still get to choose who's gonna father my kids.
Yes. That's right.
Like I didn't settle. I don't have to,
Yeah, you don't. You do
Um,
not.
I'm not stuck in a situation I don't want to be in.
Yep.
Um, Jobs, even as I transition through my career, being out of work last year, I really did want to work at the company that I was working for. Like I had dreamt of working for that company. It was one of my dream jobs.
Mm,
Um, but now the job I'm at now is even better. Like
yeah. It's so beautiful how, like, when we have our expectations, right? And we have like our list, and then we might get it, but then it doesn't last. And we think, like, oh my goodness, I really wanted that. Oh my goodness. And then when we actually lean into and embrace the fact, like, all right, it's done, it's not here no more, literally out of nowhere, something like way better falls in our lap. I like to think of it as like God just opened his hand a little wider. Like he had his hand like this
yeah,
when
a
he
little
was
sprinkle.
on the list, and he was like, "Okay, let me just do a little sprinkle. Okay, let
Yeah,
me." Oh, you think that that's what you want, but
it go from sprinkle to overflow.
whoo, because when he do this,
It's
baby,
overflow.
it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh wow, this is better than what I thought. And all the hurt and all the pain and all the tears and all of the, like, the down moments and the isolation and the all the things, yes, it grew me, but it helped me to understand, like, I was putting so much into something that literally wasn't even by design for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is by design for me in this season.
Mm-hmm.
In this season. And so I know, as a lesson, if and when the season is up for this, I know it might hurt, it might be hard.
My
Whew,
stomach might fall, but
I might be shaky, baby. But
that
I know that what's next,
it was
oh,
next.
baby.
Yes.
My one thing that I used to tell my friends is that even if this is just a preview, like when I was dating before I got married, it's like literally like just
Leveling
like
up
from
every
glory
time.
to glory to glory to glory, honey, from glory to glory. All right, and this
Step to
is
glory.
hello. Like, if this is just a preview of
I
what you got,
love that.
Lord, I'm grateful. Like, I'm grateful. I'm gonna allow myself to feel the hurt. Yeah. It's gonna hurt, and it might be down for a minute, but I'm not gonna let it consume me, because I know that the last preview I got,
Was
that
amazing.
was a preview, and baby, you gave me the upper echelon of the preview, and it was great. So if this is just a preview, honey,
Girl, that gives me hope.
okay, I ain't negating the work that might come with the action.
Yes.
But baby,
Yes.
this, honey, if this is just a preview, and I
Yes.
love what you said, like, it's my current reality. It's my current reality. Something my mom always tells me is, Shakira, be faithful to your now. Be
Mm.
faithful to your now. Like, you're so forward thinking and so goal oriented. You're always thinking about what's next, what's next, what's next, and it can rob you of the joy of what's actually happening right now. Like, you're
Yeah.
in an answered prayer, no matter how up and down life may be seeming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
at one point or another, you prayed to be where you are. So, like, be faithful to your now. If you can show God that you are a good steward over your now, He's more apt to like release whatever is coming next. You don't have to obsess over it. That's just like easy and one of those things, easy in theory and difficult in practice. But honey, it's all a part of change.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Well, I love you so much.
I love
Thank
you
you again
too.
for today. This was beautiful.
It was.